Welcome to the Epcotian Adventure,
a podcast where we talk about all things Disney, but we're Epcot-centered.
including tips and tricks, festivals and favorites, and the very latest in our rankings and reviews.
But we're still old enough to remember when the only New Orleans at Disney was New Orleans Square.
This is episode 133, our review of Disney's Port Orleans French Quarter.
Or, sometimes all you need is a nice room and a beignet.
So now, please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast as we embark on our Epcotian adventure.
We call it Epcot.
Howdy, folks, and welcome to episode 133 of the Epcotian Adventure. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And let's talk about one of my favorite resorts, Port Orleans. But I like Riverside.
I like Riverside too, but this was our first time staying at French Quarter.
And it turned out to be totally awesome.
It really was.
Wait, spoilers. This is our review of the French Quarter version or side of Port Orleans.
So if you are not familiar, Port Orleans is broken into two halves, as we just sort of insinuated. So half of it is Riverside, half of it is French Quarter, and I say half and half, but it's really not. It's like 3/4 Riverside, 1/4 French Quarter.
Yeah, surprisingly smaller sometimes when it comes to resorts is better. It's quieter, it's not as crowded, and you don't have to take a bus to get to a bus.
That is nice.
Who would have thought that's great?
That is very nice. And because of that, it can also be a little harder to get into. So it has a little bit of that velvet rope effect.
Right.
Where it's a little harder to get to.
Yeah, harder to get in, but you know what? That makes it even more enticing, in my opinion. So, well, what is the Port Orleans French Quarter? Well, as far as the Disney resorts go, it's a moderate, so it's right in the middle price-wise. It is one of the Epcot resorts, so it's easy to get to Epcot from here. It's the closest of the four parks.
We did look up some pricing, just sort of as a guideline for what you can expect. Different times of the year, of course, holidays are going to be more expensive. Off weekends are going to be a little cheaper, and there are some deals to be had out there. So, Rod, give us some of those pricings that we looked up.
Well, when we stayed over July 4th weekend this year, we paid $268, which is, for a moderate, not a bad price. Now, that was with the Disney Plus promotion going on. So, always look when you're talking about Disney resorts. Don't forget to always look on the page that says packages and promotions, because they're going to show you the highest price first, hoping you just go, hey, click. No, don't do that. Look and see if you have a Disney Visa card, if you have Disney Plus, if you're a DVC member, if you're a Florida resident, or on the other side, a California resident, or if you're an annual pass or Disneyland key holder. Always look for those, because they're not going to be all the times of the year, but look for those for the time that period you want to go, because it really does help drop those prices. So the rack rate, for instance, for Christmas this year is $424 for a standard room. That would be something that looks over the parking lot or just what they would call a garden view at most of these resorts. The river view and the pool views tend to be a little more expensive, and the ones that are closer to what they would just call the amenities, so the front desk, the restaurants, also tend to be a little more expensive. Sometimes it's worth it. Here I don't think it is. It's such a small resort that even staying further away, it has its benefits. Just price-wise.
Yeah, even further away is not far away at this one. So it is very well contained.
And then for next year, if we looked in May of 2026, $373 was the rack rate for a weekday. So again, this price fluctuates all over the place depending on time of year and promotions going on, and sometimes Epcot festivals. I've noticed that when the Epcot festivals are starting up, these room rates go up, because they're an Epcot resort. But that's just how they work at the Walt Disney Resorts. So the theme, of course, New Orleans. it does resemble a little bit of New Orleans Square at Disneyland, but it has a very, I don't want to say over the top, it's almost a subtle New Orleans theme. It feels a little less over the top theming as like Pop Century. I think that's normal for most moderate resorts at the Walt Disney World Resort.
I think that's a good statement. I do think that where you get some of the more bold choices and the over-the-top theming is going to be in the restaurant area and in the pool area, which we'll also get to in just a moment. That's where you're going to find that sort of over-the-top cartoon style.
Yeah, like a Mardi Gras feel.
Yes.
And that is kind of the vibe. It's jazzy, it's fun, it's got some nice peaceful streets.
That was cute. That was just too... Now, what was that word?
Jazzy?
Yeah, jazzy.
But yeah, the pool area and Pascagoula Floatworks, which is the restaurant, a little over the top.
And appropriately so, I would say. You wouldn't want to go to a resort that you're told is themed to New Orleans and find nothing that is Mardi Gras. That would just be weird. So we like that you get the fun, jazzy vibes of Mardi Gras. And then you also get the quieter streets with the wrought iron fences and the peaceful trees and a little bit of that, what do you call it, Spanish moss in the trees, like that sort of peaceful vibe. This is also a weird side note, but I'm just going to say the streets have curbs. So it does sort of feel like you're walking the streets of New Orleans. So if you are someone with any kind of mobility issues or older guests in your party or anything like that, just be aware that there are curbs to the street, so you will have to locate the spots where you can dip down like a normal street.
So I mentioned Pascagoula Floatworks and Food Factory. This is the quick serve location. This does not have its own sit-down restaurant. So unlike other moderates, it shares a sit-down restaurant with Riverside, which is really easy to get to. It's just a 5-minute walk or even a quicker boat ride. Yeah, I'd say it's about a 5-minute boat ride.
I would say it's about the same because you're going to have to wait for the boat. You don't have to wait to walk. We actually really enjoyed Pascagoula Floatworks. It's called Pascagoula Floatworks and Food Factory, which I didn't even realize it had that little tag on there, but it does. And we labeled this as one of our top spots to find breakfast at the Disney resorts, mainly because of the avocado breakfast bowl. This is a $10.99 steal for breakfast.
Yeah, it fed both of us.
It fed both of us. There was some left over. It's potato barrels. You have scrambled eggs, cheddar, Southwest-style beans, avocado, and salsa fresca. It was so good. It was a huge portion and very, very fresh, light, and yet hearty way to start your day.
If I was staying at Riverside, I would walk down here just to eat this. That's how good it is.
That's a great point, yeah. They also have lunch and dinner menus, of course. They have some really interesting things on the menu. Not just your typical burgers and chicken. Like, they have citrus basil salmon that comes with 2 sides. They have fish and chips. They have smothered beef and gravy, which is not my jam on a hot Florida day, but they offer it, so that's great. They also have jambalaya, gumbo, things you would expect to find at a New Orleans-themed restaurant. You are also going to find some of those more picky eater-friendly dishes, like a bacon cheeseburger or a regular cheeseburger. Those are also going to be on there. Chicken strips, of course. But you can also find jerk barbecue chicken strips with pineapple salsa. You can find a caprese chicken sandwich. So little bitty twists that they put on some of the more general food, which I love when Disney does that because they usually do it really well.
Right up front off the lobby, they also have Scat Cats, which is 2 sides. It has a QSR where you can get those fantastic beignets, including the boozy beignets that you can get from breakfast on. And they have a lounge as well. And during the evenings, they do jazz music in the lounge. So,
live jazz music.
Yes, live. And it's a real hidden gem. If you're into jazz, this is a great place to come and just grab some of those beignets, grab a dish, because they do offer regular food there as well in the afternoons and evenings.
It is a smaller venue, so if this is something that's important to you, arrive a little bit early and get a good seat. And one of those strange little side notes I'm going to throw in here again. If you're someone who likes to let your camera eat first, you like to have the pictures of your food for posting or for whatever, please note that if you're getting the beignets, the only ones that are Mickey-shaped are non-boozy. They never, ever, ever put booze in a Mickey-shaped item. So just always keep that in mind. If you do want the cute beignet pictures, you have to get the regular ones or the seasonal ones. Sometimes they do like a pumpkin spice or that sort of thing as a seasonal topping, but you'll never find the Mickey ones with the booze option.
Out by the main pool, they do have the prerequisite pool bar. It's called Mardi Gras, which I thought it was really cute.
That's adorable.
Typical Disney pool bar venue. They also have some food offerings. It's also, like I said, very walkable down to boat rides or the River Roost at Riverside. And River Roost, of course, is where you're going to find the Disney legend, Yeehaw Bob. So you can stay here and walk down there or take the boat down there very easily. And so this is a good alternative to Riverside. If Riverside is sold out or overpriced, you might check French Quarter and just see if there's something available.
And vice versa. If French Quarter is sold out, you can book at Riverside and still walk down and get your beignets or enjoy your jazz music. So it goes in both directions.
So we talked about the boat ride. The boat ride connects the Riverside, the French Quarter, and Disney Springs. So this is a great little touch, I think. Much like the Skyliner resorts, this is one of the few boat resorts that exist outside of the Magic Kingdom resorts. But the boats run through the closing of Disney Springs.
A little past the closing of Disney Springs.
Yeah,
so
maybe an hour past, I think, to catch all those last-minute people coming back.
And that's also important to note because we're about to talk about your different views. Let's just say you could get a standard view, which is parking lot, or gardens, which is basically a sidewalk, or you can get the water view, which is going to be the river or the pool. If you are in the river view rooms, they're going to be a lot quieter out there because you're out on the river. However, because those boats are going by, if you're near one of the bridges that the boats go under, and sometimes even if you're not, you're going to hear those boat horns. And when Disney Springs doesn't close until midnight, you're going to hear those boat horns all night long. So just to keep that in mind, that does interrupt the quietness of this resort if you are in those Riverview rooms. If you're not near the bridges, you're not going to hear it as often. And I kind of like it. I actually like that sound.
One of my favorite forms of transportation, though, at this resort, I mean, obviously you can drive in, you can take a bus, like any standard Disney resort, but something you can do internally, you can grab a horse-drawn carriage. You know, it doesn't take you and your luggage to your room, but it's a great sunset or evening just tour around the resort. It can be very romantic, can be very fun with kids that love horses. It's just a real cool addition to this resort that you don't see anywhere else.
And because you do have the real streets and it really does feel like you're touring around another city. It doesn't feel like you're at Disney. It feels like you're doing a touristy thing in New Orleans, which is just really, really kind of cool. I do also want to point out that because you do have those boats there, and Disney Springs is one of the options for the boat destinations, that opens up all of Disney Springs for your dining options as well. So if for some reason Sasagula just doesn't float your boat, if it doesn't seem like something that you want to do, you don't feel like going over to boat rides, hop on one of those boats, go to Disney Springs. The whole world is open to you over there.
Now, like any other Disney resort, it has the pool, it has the store. Let's talk about those a little bit, because they are very uniquely themed. I really enjoy Jackson Square as a shopping area. It's heavily themed to the New Orleans vibe. And if you go to, like, the one at the Riviera or the one at Coronado, they're not. So this feels a little more Disney themed than a lot of the other moderate resorts. And I really did enjoy that in this vein, I should say, of New Orleans as the theming. It carries over into the main store. They carry the typical kinds of Disney merch, but they also carry like the polos and the very New Orleans-y type things that you wouldn't see outside of New Orleans Square at Disneyland. So for that reason alone, this is one of the best moderate resort stores I think I've seen. And the pool is cute.
The pool that they call Doubloon Lagoon, it's adorable. This is where you're going to find some of those more cartoony features where you're going to find like little alligators holding an umbrella wearing swim trunks, like that sort of thing. And there's also a 51-foot long slide. That's a long slide for a pool. So, and it's shaped like a sea serpent, which I just think is so cute. I wonder, does he have a name? He does have a name. His name is Scales. Scales the sea serpent.
That's cute.
So I just think that's adorable. So if pools are your thing, this is a great place to find a really fun one.
So is Port Orleans French Quarter worth it? I think for the uniqueness of it, I think for the size of it, and the overall feel and quiet, for me, it's well worth it. What do you think, Sis?
I agree. I was skeptical going in, I will tell you, because we are fans of the Riverside side of Port Orleans. We love staying at Riverside. And everything that I'd seen as far as French Quarter goes was Sasagula, and we'd seen the pool. So I'd only seen the big over-the-top creepy masks and kid-friendly friendly statues. So it wasn't really my vibe. Once we stayed there and we got to explore more of those quieter streets and the really pretty trees and the nice quiet walks, I loved it. I would absolutely stay here again. Like we said, it is harder to get into than Riverside, so we'll probably still lean towards Riverside when we're doing a moderate resort, but I would 100% recommend and stay here again.
So, folks, have you stayed at French Quarter? Let us know what you think and like about the resort or dislike about the resort. We'd love to know. Put it down in the comments, and yeah.
And are you Team Riverside or are you Team French Quarter?
Ooh.
Oh.
I didn't know there was going to be drama.
Well, there's always drama.
Before we go, we'd like to give a big thanks to our theme music composer, Jason Patrick Rowan, whose music is licensed to Pond 5. And of course, thank you, Phoenicians.
Thank you, Phoenicians. And don't forget to rate, review, like, share, and subscribe. It really does help other people find us. You can find us on social media on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts.
The Epcotian Adventure is a $1,000 brunch production and a proud gold member of D23. Thanks for joining us today for episode 133 of the Epcotian Adventure. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And we'll see you in line.
Au revoir.
Thank the Phoenicians.
Kind of weird, but why do I keep saying weird?
Things are weird.